Hi, we're back for Ayahuasca ceremony part two. So like I mentioned in the first one, it was 2 nights. It was Friday night and Saturday night. So tonight, this morning, well, whenever you're watching this, I'm gonna be talking about the second part of my ayahuasca ceremony and what I experienced. Um, so again, do your own research from this. Don't just take my word for oh, ayahuasca changed my life. You should do it too. No, no, no. Do your own research, and if you feel, it's something that you want to explore, and look it up. You, I, me, Nick, I'm gonna and you this. I'm just telling you what I experienced. Um, but without further ado, let's get back to what we were gonna talk about. This is Luna. I think I introduced her last video, but if I didn't, this is Luna, and this is Loki behind me. So let's start with the second journey. It started hitting me pretty quickly. The first time I had to get 3 cups, and that's when I really started like feeling and experiencing, realizing, oh, okay, so it is something going on here. It's not just me. Um, I thought I was like, oh my god, this medicine isn't working. The second time, the first cup, it really did. Like I started like just feeling very loose. I couldn't get comfortable though to like save my life. Like I had a blanket and I was like, when I put it on, I was too high. If I took it off, I was too cold. I tried putting my leg out, like one leg out, one leg in. Still, I could not get comfortable to save my life. Like I was like the temperature was just so like I couldn't find the right temperature. I kept stretching. Like my body just kept like stretching and doing child's pose and all these things. I was honestly like about to just get up and do like a full yoga routine because I just felt like I needed to move my body so much. I felt like I needed to stretch and like really like release. And I kept yawning. I kept yawning. I would not stop yawning. I couldn't get comfortable. It was so like weird. To me, I was like really. I was like, oh my god, is this normal? So I was just feeling really good though. Before the ceremony, our my life coach, she was there, of course. She was telling us, she was like explaining like a 10-day meditation and ayahuasca. She was like, a 10-day meditation is similar in the sense that a lot of things will come up, but unlike an ayahuasca ceremony, it's just you and you. Like you're just attacking yourself. You're against yourself. With ayahuasca, she's there and she kind of cradles you like a baby. She helps you through it. And I don't know why when she said cradles you like a baby, just I don't know, something just like started like it just like I felt something about that, you know. So I went to take my first cup and I came back to my mat and I sat down and I had 2 blankets. I had like a quilt and I had like a really thin, like little plush throw blanket. And it was balled up at the end of my mat. And it looked like a baby wrapped up in a blanket. Like it looked like just the head of a baby and it was like wrapped up in a blanket. And I felt the most strongest urge to grab it and cradle it. But I didn't. I was like, no, that's weird. So I didn't do it. Of course I was, experienced. It was hot, too cold. I was stretching. I started doing like all these different yoga poses. I ended up doing like the happy baby pose. I was like holding my feet and I was like kicking my legs out and like moving along with my legs and just like, and I just felt like so like childlike. It was like, I felt like a baby. Like I just felt like a legit baby. Like I was just like, and I kept seeing like cats. Like cats are a really big thing for me. I always see cats out of the corner of my eyes and things like that. So I like saw a cat like in front of like the shaman when he was singing. Like they had the pillow out um for where people could go and sit and get another cup of the medicine. And I just saw like a cat like laying there, and I was like, wait, what? But there wasn't a cat there. And then all of a sudden I just like all these like images of like cats kept popping into my head. And so I like laid back and I just like started doing this and I was like meow, meow. And my arm, this arm was like just going like it was just making a bunch of circles, like a bunch of arm circles. And they kept getting wider and like wider and I was like okay, whatever. And I was like thinking, I was like, maybe I have to do it to this side too, and this side was like, nope, nope, we don't need it, just this side. So I was like, okay, I guess, whatever. And then my finger, I started pointing my finger and I started doing an infinity sign in the air. Don't know, it just came up. But it was interesting because when I was in my Reiki session earlier that day, while I was like relaxing, I felt a tug on my index finger, like as if someone just like kind of like just like not like really like but like just like trying to move it out to point it out on that finger. So I thought it was interesting that that was the finger, that was the arm that everything happened with, and that was the arm that felt, and that hand and the finger during my Reiki session that I really felt anything with. Um, so the session goes on. Everything just seems so very chill. I was finally able to kind of like get more comfortable. Um, and I just started feeling like really relaxed, and I was like, okay, what the fuck is going on? Like, okay, this is too happy. Like, this is too good. This feels too amazing. Like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna ruin it? And it kind of made me think, I was like, why do you always think that something has to ruin something? And it was funny because one of the girls had the same like situation the night before, and now I was having it again. And I was like, damn, that's like true. Like, why do I always think something has to come and ruin it? Like, no, like this moment is fine. Like, it's perfect. you know but I felt this urge to like really like go within, like to really go within and see like, okay, so you know everything is fine, but I have the choice to go within and see, things beyond just what's beautiful around me. I can go within and find the darkness inside of me and try to bring it out to this beauty. So that's what I did. I felt really called, and like to like just put my eye mask on and to really just go within. So I felt like abuelita, like she just kept telling me like if it gets too intense, just sit back up and reground yourself in this moment. This is what everybody is here for. The shamans are here for. That's why they're singing these songs to really help you ground and get like back in tune like with like love energy, and to really like help calm you and like relax you and things like that. So I put my eye mask on and I laid down, and I started feeling really warm, like really warm. um and I don't want to say I had my blanket over me. I don't think I did, or at least not all the way. But I started feeling really warm, this side of my body that was like against the ground, and I felt these little tingles on like different parts of my body. And the only way I could describe it was how fire sounds when it cracks, like when it's on, it's just like when it's like in like a one of those fire things, and you just hear like little cracks of the fire. That's what it felt like, but on my body. That was like, so I didn't really know how to describe it because it wasn't like really like tingling, but it was kind of like little crack feelings, but it didn't hurt. It was very comforting, very like warm, and like just very relaxing. And I just kept getting like this image in my head of like me burning away. Like me burning away, which sounds kind of freaky, but I was so calm about it. I felt so at peace about it. I felt so relaxed. So I just saw myself like burning, and like my skin like just becoming ashes, and like my bones and like the dried flesh, this sounds really graphic, on the skin, and like just being like kind of like burnt down black, and then like being blown away, with the wind, and it sounds horrible, but it didn't look like that graphic. Like it didn't look really like blood, guts, and everything. No, it looked. I don't know how to describe it, but it was very comforting. Like the sight of it and feeling it. I was very calm the entire time, surprisingly. Um, so that happened, and then like shortly after that, so trigger warning. I this will bring up like mental health things, self harm, suicide. Should I say self mutilation, life ending thoughts and things like that. So if you are triggered by this, maybe not watch this part. Maybe skip ahead a bit, or just maybe not watch this video, because that was something that I struggled with a lot in my past, and that was something that came up very heavily for me. So I, I after that like feeling of burning away, I was like asking like to go deeper. Um, so I think I sat back up and then I like laid back down and then I closed my eyes and I saw myself in my mom's in our tub in the house. Um, and that was, I used to self harm a lot in there in the bathroom. And one time I actually self harmed really bad to the point I had to go to the hospital. Because I had gone too far. Um, and I just saw myself laying in the tub, and my arm was like bleeding, and I looked back at myself, and I just kind of like reached my arm back out, like grabbed my hand, and I don't know what happened, but like it felt like I was running out, but it also felt like I was being like pushed out of the room, and I was just so afraid of her. But then part of me was also like, no, we have to go back. We have to love her. We have to hug her. We have to comfort her. So, you know, I don't know what the hell, how I was able to like push through, but I really felt like the presence of like Abuelita, like just helping me like really push through and get back into the bathroom. And I like just jumped into the tub with myself and I just hugged her and I just kind of like melted into her. And I just felt like so much like peace. Well, not exact peace because there were things that kept coming up later on. But like for that, it just felt like so much better. Like, oh my god, like real healing is like right here at the door. Like, here we go. Like, this is it. This is beautiful. I love you. I'm here for you. Like it just felt so peaceful. It just felt so right. I felt so much love. So, a couple minutes go by and I start feeling like a presence, like kind of like as if it's like laying behind me, like on me, like kind of like hugging me. And it's funny because, at first my intuition was kind of like, no, bad. But then I was kind of like, no, 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 this is okay. It's like, it feels like my soulmate, it feels comforting. And then the energy got heavier and heavier and heavier. My intuition was like, no, like, this is not your soulmate. Like, this is not good. And I saw, like, it was like a leech on my back, like just like hovering like on like from my neck like down maybe to like the middle of my back. It was like this big leech just like draining me and sucking all this like energy and light and joy out of me. And I was very promiscuous when I was younger. And I would go to a lot of older men, too old. They should have been arrested. Um, but it was like, it's like I felt all of that, like how they were just really like using me and taking advantage of how vulnerable I was, how, hurt I was, how just like I just wanted love so badly. They saw that, they took advantage of that, and they just were like using me just for that. And I felt it so heavily on me, and it was like so intense. It was draining me so much. And just like talking about it's kind of like I could feel it again, and it's oh my gosh, it's like I'm re-experiencing everything. Sorry, but this needs to like ground. But so I just felt it so heavily, and I started crying. And I felt I really to like remove the leech from my back, and it was my back was like really red and like just like bruised up and bleeding, and like you could see where it was like really like attached and like just sucking like the life out of me, and it hurt like it did I felt like a little bit like of discomfort, but like like I didn't feel like a lot of like actual physical pain, but I could feel like the emotional pain of it, and it hurt a lot, and my back just felt like so like, uncomfortable. So I so, 1 second, because I gotta oof. So I felt her remove the leech, and I saw like how bad my back was and everything, and she just started putting like medicine on it. She was like just rubbing it like a cloth like dipped in like milk or like water or something like that, and she was just like going over my back on like all over, and I just felt so loved, you know, but I didn't want to accept it. And I asked her, I was like, "Why are you being so nice to me?" And she just said it like just so like nothing, like as if it was obvious, like duh, and so kindly. And she was like, "Because I love you," you know. And I literally like whimpered. I was like, like that. Um, like that was like so much for me. Um, so I just I like felt my back like starting to feel better, and I felt like the pressure wasn't there anymore. And so we were like on this like hill or like this cliff somewhere like very beautiful. And she was standing on the edge of it, and she like reached her hand out to me, and she was like, "Come on, like come up and look with me." And I didn't want to stand up. I was like just crouched over like a little hurt puppy or something, even though she just like helped me. And I was just like crouched over, and I was like, I don't feel worthy. Like I don't think I'm worthy enough to stand up. And she like sat down in front of me, and she just like crouched down, and she looked at me. She's like, "I think you're very worthy of coming up with me, standing up. I think you're very worthy." And she like put her hand out in front of me, and I took her hand, and as I started to stand up, I just felt like my hand like going back and grabbing like younger me, and then younger me grabbing like all these other people, all these other kids that I don't even know like who they were, all these other souls, and like it was just like all of us just standing up all at once. And I just felt this wave of like confidence and like self love just shower over me. It was just so beautiful. It's like, oh my gosh, what is this? Is this what confidence feels like? Is this like what like self love feels like? And she was like, yeah, it suits you. All right. I just want to go get ready for work. So yeah, but so I just I started getting anxious. I was like, what if people reject me? Like, what if I try being friends with like people, and I try flirting with people and they reject me? And she was like, well, that like you love yourself, like so it doesn't matter. You know that you're worthy now, like and I felt like the pressure that I felt from the leech on my back again, but this time it wasn't like a draining like sense. It was like it was making me stronger. It was like making my like back straighter instead of like me hunching over, because it was like just on me and draining me. I felt myself like kind of like be stronger, and it like pushed me to stand up straighter. Like confidence. I felt like I sat back up for a bit, and I was just like doing some more stretching and relaxing, and my life coach, she started crying. Everybody has their own experiences and things like that. Everybody has their own like things that they start going through, so everybody sheds their emotions in that time. And she started crying, and she started crying so loudly, and and the music was playing. It was just so beautiful, like to hear her cry. And I started like feeling her pain. Like I could feel, like I just started getting so emotional and I started crying too. And I honestly was so convinced. I was like, oh my God, everybody's gonna start crying with this woman. This woman put this all together. Everybody is here because of her. You know, everybody's gonna start crying with her. Everybody's gonna be feeling these emotions for her. And I realized nobody else is crying, and I was like, what's going on with you guys? Like don't you guys hear her like crying? Why aren't you crying with her? Why aren't you doing anything? Like why aren't we helping her? And I felt this urge to like go up and hug her. But one of the rules is like no touching and things like that. And she's been through ayahuasca experiences, so like unlike me on my first night, they were telling us, if you need us, let us know, call us, and we'll come to you. So I know for sure that she was okay and she was releasing in the way that she was going to release, and she didn't need anybody. But I just felt this urge to go and like hug her and things like that. So I was like, why isn't anybody doing anything? Can't you hear her crying? Like nobody's doing anything. And I started crying, and I kept crying and crying and crying. And all of a sudden, like, I started thinking of my mom. And it was like something just in my head kept repeating, like, a mother's weeping. Like, a mother's weeping is the most painful thing to hear. It's like the most painful thing to, like, you know it's nothing that can compare pain wise to a mother's like weeping for her child. Like, I just started feeling like so much pain and so much hurt and so much sadness. And I started feeling my mom like really heavily, and I like had my hands over my face, and I was like wiping the tears off the side of my face. And as I was like doing this, I just felt my face morphing into her face, and I just like felt her energy so strongly. And I felt like, oh my gosh, like the most intense like emotional pain, the most emotional like hurting ever. And it was like, imagine, like she just started telling me, she's like, imagine carrying a child in your womb for 9 months, for it to be born not alive, for it to be born and stillborn. Like, imagine the pain that your mother has gone through. And I just started crying so hard, and I just felt like it was my mom crying through me, because there were so many times that my mom cries. My mom would cry here, and she would cry so loud, and me and my sister would get annoyed. We would be like, oh my gosh, can you like cry quietly? At least we cry quietly, can't you? And I realized how insensitive I was being, because I wasn't comfortable with my own emotions. And I was like, oh, someone else expressing their emotions. God forbid, shut the fuck up, you know? So it's just like, I felt like my mom just coming through, and I just started crying so loud. And it was beautiful. It felt like, it was my mom there, and that she was crying. And she was crying as loud as she could, as loud as she wanted to, because it was a safe place for her to really, release all this pain, all this hurt, all these emotions. And I just was, oh my gosh, I just kept crying, and I kept crying, crying, crying. And it was like, it felt like it was never gonna stop. Like that pain was just so intense. And all these emotions were so intense. And I was like, why am I feeling all these emotions? Like, why am I feeling everybody's stuff? Like, what is going on with me? Like, why? And something in my head was like, because like you chose this path. You chose this path when you came down to like this earth, to this realm. This is what you chose, like, for yourself. You chose to go through this. You chose to, experience and, be, to hold all that weight on, to hold all that weight on top of you. You chose that path for yourself because, you thought you could handle it. And I got so angry. I was just so angry with myself for a while. I was like screaming. Well, not like really screaming out loud, but I was like when my mouth closed, I was like and I was just screaming, and I was like hitting the floor because I was getting so angry with myself. I was like, why would you choose this path? Like, why did you do this? Why did you think, why would you want to like go through this? Like experience all this pain and something, like in the middle of me hitting the floor, something just like clicked in my head and I just like stopped hitting and I felt like I kind of surrendered to it. And my hands just kind of like just fell flat on the floor. And I started like taking these really deep breaths and it was like, because you can handle it. I don't know, it just felt like this like relief, like all this weight was off my shoulders, like I wasn't no longer like questioning like why me, like oh my god, I can't take this. It was more so like, you can handle this. And it was just, I started like not vomiting. A lot of people tend to vomit or like have bowels whenever um like during like a purge, like for purging, like to release, and I kept vomiting energy. Like I literally like nothing came out. I mean, like when I was crying, a lot of mucus was coming out my nose and a lot of saliva. Like whenever I would like energy vomit, I was literally like feel myself like as if I was gonna throw up. But whenever I would like go to like that, like it was nothing there. But it felt like it was like this, just like this energy. I don't know. It felt like literal like energy, and it felt so heavy coming out, and I could like feel the heaviness in the bucket. It was so weird. And then my mouth would just like start salivating like really intensely, and then it would just like I don't know what that. And I was literally like questioning, I was, oh my god, like what's happening to me? And then my body like just started like twitching, and it was so intense, so weird. Like I don't want to say weird, but it was like such an intense and different experience. Like I felt like I was just like morphing, and I like could like it felt like I was like looking at myself, and I could see my eyes like whenever I would like open or close my eyes, like my eyes were like changing into like this reddish, like no, I don't want to make it sound demonic or anything, but honestly like these really sharp eyes, like kind of like a bird or a cat or something like that. And my body was like twitching, and then like I just like kind of like sat up straight, and I was like facing, and I was like sitting up on my knees and like sitting up straight, and it felt like these wings just like exploded out of my back. And like all of a sudden, like throughout the entire experience, I kept thinking, I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to share tomorrow morning. I can't wait to tell everybody what I'm experiencing. And it kept coming up, and I'm like, why does this keep coming up? Like yesterday, I wasn't like thinking like this, but now it's like I can't wait to share. I can't wait to share. I can't wait to share. And it was like because you want to be better than everybody. You want to be better than everybody, you know, because you don't feel like you're enough. You want to be better than everybody to prove that you are enough. You want to, be so ahead. You want to do all these things, and like to get the validation that you won't give yourself. And like it kind of like, like I just kind of like felt myself like looking like over my shoulder, and it was like you have nothing to prove to these people. Like you have nothing to prove to them. Like this experience right here, this is for you. This is for you. It's not to prove to anybody else like, oh my god, look at like what I've gone through. Like look at all this stuff. Like you have no, like you can literally just tomorrow morning when we share, you could just say, yeah, it was intense. And you don't have to tell them any of the details, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Your energy will speak for you. Like this experience that you're experiencing right now is for you to know, for you to acknowledge for yourself, for you to accept and validate yourself through that experience for you. You don't have to share it with everybody to prove to them that you're worthy. Your worth comes from within you, from you approving of yourself. Whew, and that just, oh my god, that hit me like a ton of bricks. That because it made sense because I'm always trying to be better than everybody. I'm always trying to like I always just wanted to be better than people. Not in like a rude way, but because I never felt worthy myself, so I felt like, oh, if I'm better than people, then then people are going to acknowledge me, I'm going to acknowledge me. It's like, no, that didn't do anything. I've been my entire life like that, and I've been look at how I was miserable, I was so sad, I was so broken, I was so hurt. And that really opened my eyes. It's like, validate yourself, you know um like, the world doesn't have to know like all the transformation you've done. That's for you to keep that as your own trophy and your own, look what, like, for you, whenever you feel down, look at it and like, wow, I've been through this. um and that was something I didn't share in the share circle in the next morning. um but I don't know why I feel very like called to share it now, which is interesting because it's like I have nothing to prove to these people, but I feel more so it's like in the sense of like trying to help others, that's why they're allowing me to kind of like speak it like so freely. Because even when I was like sharing, when I was thinking of sharing it in the share circle, and I could not bring myself to talk, like all that I like kept repeating in my head was like, say a ho, say a ho, say a ho. Like a ho was like the closing phrase, so the next person can continue and tell their story, and that's all that kept coming up. So that happened. Then I just started seeing a lot of things like with my family. Like how cycles could be repeated with my family. And it was very much like, dependent on how I chose to react, what I chose to do when I came back home, how I would choose to like treat my sister and treat my mom. If I were to like give them the messages that my grandmom and her dad sent, versus if I just kept them to myself. Because when I got the messages the night before, I was thinking, I was like, okay, I'll tell them when I get home. And then at the end of the second ceremony, the shaman was like, if you have any messages, tell them immediately. So that kind of spoke to me, like, no, like, treat your family differently, like, come on, start now, this small step, just text them, you don't have to call them, just text them. As long as you get them these messages, that is the first step to you really, changing how you act with them and how you react with them. And it just, like, I could just see how everything like would have played out, like could have played out, had I not told them, how I came back and not really, started loving them and embracing them and really, like being more understanding, especially with what I experienced, with their emotions, not coming back and just, going back to, and, like really being so angry and holding my anger towards them, like I used to. She was really showing me a lot of, like, be grateful for them. They've done so much for you. Even, like, um, like for example, I got called to like go to the bathroom, like in the end, and I don't think I had to actually go to the bathroom. I just like felt the urge, to get up and just walk for a minute. So I got up and I went to the bathroom, and in the bathroom there was a tub shaped like an egg. Well, it was like an oval tub, and but it, I saw it and I was like, an egg, like a womb, and I just felt so called to like go in and like curl up, so I did. And I could feel myself. It felt like I was back in my mom's womb, and I can feel like her, like rubbing her belly and just like talking to me and telling me how much she loved me, and my sister like hitting her stomach and like, baby, like there's something in here, and my mom, like telling me like how much she loved me. And I could feel like kind of like the worry in a sense, because she lost a child and she was like kind of nervous, like, oh my gosh, is this kid gonna like make it, is this kid gonna survive, or am I gonna lose like another child? And then I started like, feeling like how, like when I was born, like kind of, like, more attention goes to the baby because they're a baby, they need a bit more attention. And I could kind of feel like how my sister like would, like, it kind of like upset her in a way, because now, it's a baby getting more attention, what about me? So it's like those very small things. And, they were basically just telling me, like, give your sister love, love your sister, tell your mom, like, very, very heavily now, give love to your sister, like, she needs it. When I was going through my phases of self-harm. Growing up, I don't want to say me and my sister had the closest relationship from what I can remember. Like once I started going to school, she was kind of mean to me all the time, because she was going through things that she was, going through on her own, and she didn't really know how to process that. And the processing would be, projecting it onto me and bullying me and hurting my feelings and things like that. So I felt like like it was taking me back to like when I was going through my self harm thing. Um, and it was, she was basically showing me, she was, well, not showing me, but like telling me, she was like, your sister was going through a lot during that time as well. But she didn't talk to anybody. She didn't tell your mom. She didn't tell you. She just kept it all to herself because she didn't want to put more pressure on the table from everything that was going on. She didn't want to take the attention that you needed away from you because you were going through so much. She didn't want to add more onto it. She didn't want to make your mom worried and more concerned because of what she's going on through too. She wanted that you to get what you needed, and it's like, and she was telling me, she was like, her doing that was her showing you that she loved you, and the bullying that she put onto you was just her pain that she was going through being reflected, you know in not the best way, that she didn't necessarily intend to like put it off that way, but that's just how it came out because we didn't know how to handle it at those times. And she was basically just telling me, she was like, forgive your sister, love your sister, give her love. All the love that she, like not like missed out on because we loved her, but all the attention that we weren't able to give her during that time when I was going through it, like give it to her now, give it to her now. Um, and then so I got out the tub, I got back to my mat, and she was basically just like starting to show me like how I always kind of knew. She showed me like, um, I realized that the night before I was seeing like palm trees and like highways, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, I'm gonna travel soon. And then the next night it was like, no, this was us showing you that we were always with you. So it was like my spirit guides, always being with me and watching over me, and them following me and like being right there waiting for me. And then when I went to Florida, I started seeing how everything led up to one thing after another. When I went to Naples, I don't know. Florida, and I got my first crystal, I got my first amethyst, and how they all kind of were like, yeah, we got access to this girl, about time. And how I kind of like chose my destiny in that moment. Well, not in that moment, obviously everything was leading up to that, but it was like showing me how like I always knew intuitively, like through the art that I would do when I was going through what I was going through, like that I knew it was like my soul was like speaking, but I didn't know it was my soul like doing all these creative arts, like showing me like, hey, like there's something else in you. You're like this sad angel. This isn't you. You're breaking out of this. Um, and I just never knew at that time. I didn't know. I wasn't aware. I didn't have the right perspective. I didn't understand. So it's basically showing me like honor your younger self, because all she went through to be to lead up to this moment, honor her. She didn't understand what exactly was going on, but she did the best she could. Like, yeah, she was, self-harming, she was being promiscuous, but she was doing what she thought was best because she didn't understand. She couldn't, like, necessarily really feel the energy the way I do now. She wasn't open, the way I do now. She didn't know that, like, the whole spiritual thing, she didn't know anything about it, you know? So it was a lot of, like, just really honoring her and forgiving her and, accepting her and loving her. And it was just basically, like, it was just showing me, like, throughout my life how everything was, like, leading up to that very moment that I was in right now and realizing all of it. Um, you know, so it was very beautiful. Um, and I was very grateful for it. And then, like I feel like the last thing I saw was I was always scared of like The Grudge and The Ring, like the characters from there. Because the girls always seem very like scary, like the hair, the dark hair over your face, covering it up and everything like that. I was always afraid of them. Those characters like freaked the hell out of me. Like I hate them. Like I always imagine them like popping out of my bed. I was scared like seeing them randomly. Um, and when I came to like really see my inner child. When I was younger, I used to get my hair straightened a lot because I didn't like my hair. I hated the curly hair. It was too much to work with, and people were always like, oh my God, you should be a lion. Your hair's so big, and I understand, it wasn't like really with the intention of really hurting my feelings, but, I was so sensitive and I was like, I hate myself that, I took it that way. So I would always get my hair straightened because I thought I looked nicer. I thought it was better. I thought people, treated me better when I had my hair straightened. And when I saw my inner child, that's what she looked like. She looked like those characters. She was curled up and she just had her hair, like her straight hair, over her face, and she was just like so like no, like just how like a white dress symbolizes like purity, you know. So she's a kid, she's a child. She had on a white dress to symbolize this pure, like soul, but it was just so dirty. And so like and she was just so like closed up and so dirty and so it's like this is why you've always been afraid of these characters. Because this is what your inner child looks like. And it was just I grabbed her and I was like, come on girl, let's go. Um and honestly, it made me so much more comfortable with my name. I used to hate my name before this experience. I used to hate my name. Um, I didn't like it. I thought it was so ugly. I had like a whole little TikTok that I made about that. And since then it's like I don't want to be called JoJo anymore. I want to be called my name, Josie Lynn or Josie. I like Josie. I like Josie Lynn, but JoJo just isn't. It's not enough. It's not for me anymore. um, so I found like pride in my name again. But with that said, I have to go to work. Um, yeah. And I'm very grateful for whoever is watching this video, whoever sat through it. Thank you. Have any questions, comments? I don't know. Comment down below. Like the video. I don't know. Whatever people do on YouTube. Yes. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this can help anybody in any kind of way. I don't know. Maybe just make you feel better about yourself. Know that your guides or whatever higher source you believe in, or that you're not ever really alone. And that I love you and I see you and you are worthy and you are amazing and you are just, if I made it through it, I know damn well you're gonna make it through it. Like, get up, like honey, honey. I love you guys so much. Peace and love be with you all. Namaste. And